I'm Shandor, and today we're gonna talk about the songwriting of Rammstein. I wanna thank Rich Flynn for inspiring this video, so thank you, Rich. We're gonna mostly talking about guitarists because I'm a guitar player, but we're gonna talk about the other instruments as well. We're gonna be taking a look at which scales, which modes they are using, and how they are building up their riffs and their songs, okay? I am not gonna be playing any exact riff of Rammstein, but there's gonna be some striking resemblances. I'm doing this for two reasons really. One is to avoid any future copyright claims, and two is to encourage you guys to write your own riffs. There's basically infinite amounts of variations with these riffs and you just have to be creative. Alright, first off, I'm tuned to drop D. They use this tuning all throughout the first 3 albums. They also use standard tuning, so they were switching between these two tunings. But for convenience sake, I'm just tuned to drop D now. Okay, couple of things. Phrygian scale on one string, so it's D Phrygian. So it's 0, 1st fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret. Rammstein loves the Phrygian mode. Minor scale, D minor, starting from the note D. You might notice this is only one note difference to the Phrygian scale. So it's 0, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 12. You can basically play all Rammstein songs using these two scales. Just make them power chords. If you've never used drop tunings before, the power chord is just basically barring the E, A, and the D string. So it's only on one fret. And there you have it. Okay, a couple of techniques you'll need. First off, palm muting. I would suggest to slant the pick so it's not parallel to the strings. It's I usually use about 45 degrees. Some might use even more. It's gonna make your palm mutes sounding more fat, basically. And metallic. Okay, you'll actually need a pretty strong right hand to play Rammstein's music. It's a lot of palm mutes and a lot of downstrokes. So I would suggest practice Metallica songs before you come to Rammstein. Because if you can play those Metallica songs, you're gonna be able to play any kind of Rammstein song. So palm muting, downstrokes. Gallops also. It's a huge part of their riffage. Slides. Either whole note slides or just half note slides. This already sounds like Rammstein. It's a Phrygian riff. If you want to make it totally Rammstein, we just incorporate some palm mutes. This is totally Rammstein. So a lot of their riffing is palm mutes and open chords, okay? Open chords can be just like this. By the way, this is an octave, so it's the same note. If you're in drop tuning, your octave is on the 5th fret. If you're in standard tuning, your octave on the A string is on the 7th fret. Alright? So either this or slides. One other tricky thing they do is that they sometimes chip in some extra fat 16th notes to this, so... Have you heard that? In the end, that fast little run Hear that? There's a lot of that in Rammstein's music. So some of the riffs might be a little trickier than you think. But really the biggest thing is to play to a metronome. Okay, you have to be dead solid, incredibly precise with your riffing. A lot of bands are using very simple riffs, as Rammstein does, but they don't even sound half this powerful. Why? Because these guys are like a fucking machine. Okay? You have to be incredibly precise. One thing I forgot to mention is that in this video we're gonna be focusing on the first 3 albums of Rammstein, because Mutter is kind of a watershed in terms of their musical direction. Okay, so before we move on, the Rammstein beat. Bass drum and snare drum on each quarter note, 8 notes on the hi-hat. It's weird because if you actually listen to the band's discography, there's only a handful of songs that utilize this beat. It just so happened that most of their most famous songs happen to utilize this drum beat. But if you really listen, their first album only has one song that utilizes this beat, and it's called Weißes Fleisch. Sehnsucht der Mutter has a lot more of this kind of drum beat, but the rhythmical variety is still quite impressive. But since we're talking about the Rammstein beat, let's see some examples with this beat, okay? This first riff is in Phrygian mode and it's in standard tuning. Let's see another riff in standard tuning. This time it's a minor riff. You can also accentuate more the bass and snare drum hits with the riffs by opening up the riffs when the bass and the snare drum hits. Allah bück dich. Okay, now let's see a full track demonstration with this type of drum beat. This time I'm in drop D, but the key sender is still gonna be E. It's gonna sound a lot like Links 2 High 4. Before I play the music, let's talk about the keyboards a little bit. As far as I know, Flake is using a Roland VR whichever number keyboard, and he also has a secondary keyboard when he's playing live. And as far as software synths go, he's using Massive, FM8 and Absinthe. I'm mentioning these to you guys because you can get all of these. And also a shit ton of samples. He's using a lot of distortion on his sounds, he's using choruses, he's using hits, he's using string samples, and a lot of other things that I have no idea about. So what is the structure of a typical Rammstein song? Usually they start with a loop or with a guitar riff on its own. Then the whole band joins in, you get the taste of the guitar riff or the loop with the full band. It's usually going for 8 or 4 bars. Usually the verses omit the guitars entirely, so they're leaving a lot of space for the vocals. The drums omit the snare drum. Most of the time Schneider is playing only the bass drum and the hi-hat. The bass is either omitted from the verses entirely or playing the guitar riff part. Then usually there's a pre-chorus, which is basically the verse with some added instruments or some added samples. And then comes the chorus, which is mostly the main riff, or they're changing the chord progression underneath. This time we're going to change the chord progression just for the fun of it. After the chorus, repeat the whole thing again except for the intro, and then there's the middle section. Now the middle section can be a lot of things also. It can be a clean guitar part, as we're going to do it. It can be sort of a bridge where there's a different chord progression and there's different arrangements. It can be a lot of things. The point is to have a middle section before the final chorus comes in. Then the final chorus comes and usually is the end of the song. So it's very conventional songwriting. The genius really lies in the arrangements and Teal's voice and how they're able to make the most simple riff and make it incredibly powerful. Let's see a full track demonstration, okay? Okay, let's move on from the typical Rammstein beat. Okay, I've mentioned before that there's only a handful of songs actually that utilize this drum beat, so that leaves us with quite a lot of different kind of beats and tempos. I think one totally underrated thing about Rammstein's music is their groove, and it has a lot to do with Christoph Schneider, their drummer. He's awesome. If there's ever gonna be a part 2 to this video, I'm gonna talk a lot more about his drumming on that, because his drumming changed significantly over the years, for the better. Anyway, let's see some groove examples, okay? This is gonna sound a lot like Küss mich, which actually utilizes a lot of samples. So if you listen to the song, check out, it's got basically the whole Looney Tunes sample library. But the groove feels so good, and the riff is so good, and it's in drop D. Another great groove is something along the lines of Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that song. The first time I heard Minehead's Brand, I could not believe how good the groove was. And also the production. The production sold me on that album, really. So let's take that groove. We're going to be playing it in the key of B minor. I would suggest to pay attention to the string melody because it utilizes the harmonic minor scale. So we're adding another scale to our catalog. Harmonic minor scale. You remember the standard minor scale, right? Harmonic minor scale is almost the same, except the 7th is raised. So instead of a minor 7th, you get a major 7th. So it's like... It's a very, very classical sounding scale. Oh yeah. Okay, let's see a Sonne-like groove. Sonne is one of my favorite Rammstein songs. It's so heavy, yet it's so melodic, and it's so catchy. I don't know how they do this. This riff utilizes the flat 5 or the tritone, and Rammstein loves using the tritone, as a lot of metal bands do, but they really do. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to the continuous loop that is going all throughout the song, and also the keyboard arrangement. When the verse hits, the guitars are gonna be omitted, and there's gonna be a single piano note. It's a D. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna be showing you one more groove. This is gonna sound a lot like Spielor from Muta, and I chose this one because, one, it's an incredibly simple riff, it's in drop D, and two, because I also think that arrangement-wise, it's a bit more tricky than most people would think. I have only found one live video of this song, and in that video, if I'm seeing and hearing it correctly, Richard plays the exact same riff as everybody plays when they're covering this song, but he's playing the upper registers, so he's playing the upper octave, and I'm pretty sure it's accurate. When I listened to the song, I thought to myself, there's something more going on here than just the root position riffage, which is great, you know, but there's something more, and I think that this might be it. I might be wrong, please leave a comment, okay? So check this one out. These grooves, doesn't it? Let's put some stupid synth sound over it. And again, the synth melody is using the root and the flat 5, so a lot of flat 5s in Rammstein's music, okay? Alright, last one for you. As I've mentioned before, Mutter was kind of a watershed in terms of their musical capabilities and the notion of what's possible under the Rammstein umbrella musically. And they even ventured into classic speed heavy metal territory with this one. This is gonna sound a lot like Adios, and this is a Phrygian riff. It's in the key of D Phrygian, and it's awesome. Check it out. Well guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys got something out of this. If you would like me to do a part 2 analyzing the latest albums, please leave a comment down below. And see you next time. Bye!